Thank you, Jon. And thank you, Konstantinos. I think it's my 4th time hearing you speak. I just have to say, I think you get better and better, so well done. And good to see everybody. It's some familiar faces, some new faces. But actually, I don't know if you know that, but there's 2 rules when you go to an event like this one and speak on stage. And the 2 secret rules when you speak is you don't want to speak before lunch, right? And you don't want to speak after Konstantinos, because you always set the bar. So we'll do our best here to continue on the path that we just started here. And we're going to speak about the future of pay transparency communication. And this is a big topic, and we have 30 minutes. So we won't have time to cover it all. But we're going to do a workshop later today, 4:45. So if you want to go to the details, you're welcome to join later today. And my name is Timmy. I'm one of the partners at Sysarb and been in this business now for 6 years. I'm happy to share the stage with my good friend.
Yeah, I'm Veronica. I'm a partner in Klar Reward Agency. I've been working with rewards for 20 years. And in Klar, we produce salary surveys, and we also consult clients on everything within reward.
Very good. And some of you might know Sysarb, you might know Klar, but we don't want to spend too much time speaking on this slide. But you should take the opportunity. So, and if you want to know more about us, we have a booth outside. If I can say, Klar is one of the leading reward agencies here in Denmark, in the Nordics, and Sysarb is one of the leading, humbly, pay equity and pay transparency softwares on the market. So please join us outside if you want to speak more about what we do. Let's kick things off. So, Veronica,
yeah.
what is the challenge with the future of pay transparency communication?
Yeah, so we're trying to have a look into the crystal ball, and there's no doubt that pay transparency will affect all the processes of HR. And some effects might also be flying under the radar, and Konstantinos was talking about it. And it's especially the changes that maybe are indirect and was unintended according to the law, but there is going to be a challenge with the communication with employees on pay. Is it me?
Yeah,
and
the
what
green
do
button.
I press?
The green.
This screen?
Yes. There you go.
Perfect. So I guess that we all know Article 5, 6, and 7 by now, probably also by heart.
Sorry.
But the candidate, you pressed.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you pressed twice. Sorry.
So Article 5 says that a candidate will have the right to receive information about initial pay or a pay range prior to negotiations. Article 6 dictates that you need to be able to describe the criteria you use when you set pay. And Article 7 will give your employees the right to ask for information on their own salary and also the average of females and males doing work of equal value. That's a huge shift. It will definitely lead to more conversations about pay. How many employees will exercise these rights? We don't know that yet. Some are guessing all our employees will do it. Some are guessing maybe half. But what we do know is that there's going to be a lot of pay conversations. So let's just assume that half of your employees will exercise their right. That's a lot of individual conversation about pay. And who's going to have them? Is it HR or reward? They were busy already 5 years ago and even more busy now, implementing the new systems, trying to stay compliant, implementing new processes. So yes, HR and reward are setting the frameworks and the policies, but they do not have the capacity to answer all these individual questions. So maybe it's not a good idea, and maybe they shouldn't. And this is where your leaders come in. They are close to the day-to-day business. They know their people. They often also are the ones that are setting the salaries for their employees, maybe within a salary range given by HR. So they will need to answer questions like, why am I below the average? Or how was my salary decided? And not just defer it to HR. You would be surprised of the companies I've met where during like a salary review process and you have 2.5% in salary increase and the leader is going to explain this to the employee and they say, well, this is what HR gave me. That's not going to be a good conversation. So it's about training your leaders so they can explain the frameworks behind the data, the criteria, etc. And to do that well, they will need numbers, but they will also need an understanding of the policies and the alignment that goes in the company. So speaking of understanding, there was a US research from Mercer and World at Work, and they found that over 60% of organizations said that their leaders were not trained to talk about pay effectively. 60%. And then we can add to what Konstantinos just said, that it's a sensitive topic and it's also very complex. And a lot of employees don't even understand how their own pay was set. Some studies show that 40% of employees don't understand their own total compensation. So now we have untrained leaders on one hand, and we have employees with partial understanding of their salary on the other hand. And you could say, well, that's a perfect match, but it's not really the good basis for a fruitful conversation. So even if you had nothing to hide, and even if you had all the frameworks and policies in place, your pay is fair, you could still fail by not having leaders communicating efficiently. So your trainers will definitely need training and support, and they also need clearly defined roles and responsibilities. So HR is setting the framework. Data, of course, needs to be up to date, needs to be presented clear and understandable, but your leaders need to be able to explain your policies. They have to explain it in an aligned way as well. So we are paying for performance in this company, or some skills are hard to find, or we are aligning to market, whatever. And they need to be able to explain it well enough so that the employee feels that your compensation is fair and objective. So we've helped a lot of companies in their training and train the trainer. And of course, it all depends on how your leaders handle pay already. And these are just some tips. Now, I am assuming that your pay is already fair. You have all your policies, your objective criteria in place, and you have also aligned that to your strategic goals. And I know this seems basic, but almost all clients I meet underestimate the training of leaders. So these are just some tips. So ensure buy-in for your pay philosophy, if you have one, or your pay policy. Explain the shared intentions. And simple always beat complex. So use simple, consistent words. You could develop some pay glossary. What do you say in these kind of situations? And also make some tailor-made reports on request. Make sure that the employees do not feel that they get a canned answer. And of course, practical tools. Konstantinos was also talking about the workshops. You could gamify it by doing some quizzes, but at least create a safe space so that leaders feel safe and they will then be able to build their confidence and thus build trust in their employees. So our recommendation, so Timmy is going to show some cool dashboards, yes. But just remember that every request from your employees are unique, but you will need to have some sort of framework, a same way of answering those questions. And your gold standard is one source of truth. So probably a platform where both leaders and employees could access and see the same data. And also real-time reporting. So systems that can generate reports on demand are far more effective than a PDF report. And also, yes, you need the data, but you need to be able to communicate the data and explain it in words and present it so that they understand it. Yeah.
Very good. And of course, I'm representing technology, come from Sysarb, and like when I meet clients daily, speak on this topic, and just to summarize so far, you know, HR, if everybody's going to ask, or put it this way, there's going to be a lot of questions on this topic, right? From employees, from union representatives, from candidates, from all different places. It's like where we're coming from, we're saying, technology needs to be the source and the guiding star in this direction. And sure, I'm biased, maybe, sure, but that's the setup we see so many clients going for. And also, so many are looking at the job architecture, the foundations, the reporting, everything. But the communication is really, the end goal. How do you bring this to the organization? So it's really, if you're looking at Sysarb or other platforms, you want to build something, or you see, hey, HR can't address all those inquiries. We need technology to address this. And if you want to build something, or if you want to buy something, I think this is good advice. Of course, you want to be compliant, right? So the first one is to address, when it comes to what kind of data should be in this setup where you can bring the self-service to the managers and support them. Of course, you need Article 7. I guess all of you know this by heart, but I'm still going to read it. So the average pay levels broken down by sex for categories of employees doing the same work or work of equal value. I mean, that's one of the foundations, right? So how do we do that? But then is so much more, as Veronica said. Then you have Article 6, so criteria that are used to determine pay, workers' pay, pay levels, and pay progression policy, and also everything around that. So when you have, just imagine all the questions they can get, or like for me as a manager, when teammates come to me and say, hey, why is this the range? Or I view the job ad and my pay is this amount, but the range said this. Or why am I grade 6? I feel like I should be a grade 7. All those different questions, right? So everything from me as a manager to get access to, level descriptions, salary criteria, policy documents, all those different components that today is quite spread out. You have some things in your local payroll, you have some things in your Workday implementation, in your performance reviews, or, the data is scattered, but there is technology on the market. Sysarb, once again, is one of the providers where you can bring everything together. So we're going to discuss this later in the workshops. If you think this is interesting, join later. But if you want to have a checklist when you look for technology, I think this is a good one, because I made it. But I think it's good advice. Self-service is a good one. So if you have all your employees in, say, Workday, find a solution with like single sign-on that you can bring them to a dashboard generator or similar. There's quite a lot of different vendors on the market. But self-service is a good one. So once again, HR will not be overloaded by all the questions. Then it, of course, needs to be simple to use, right? Because the managers, when they log in, they need to directly understand it. It needs to be simple language. So if you have a mean pay gap, a median pay gap, you have quartiles. There's so many different things that in this room we think is, common knowledge, but for most managers is complex. So simplicity, easy to understand, of course compliant. I like also the fifth one here, dynamic. Because my bet is the way we're going to do pay transparency communication next year when the directive goes live. Let's see about that. There might be discussion during the day. But like when the directive goes live, there's going to be one way to do this. Most likely, our organization is going to mature. And there's going to be another way to do communication the next year and the year after. So the sort of data, the sort of questions managers will get will change over time. I guess employees will upskill themselves in learning what kind of things they can ask for, which means the complexity and the questions probably going to increase. So you need a dynamic solution so you can follow this path. And maybe, once again, come back to Konstantinos, you might make a bet on, do you want to be bold or, this slide you had, what's our strategy here? Maybe that strategy will change. Because maybe say, we want to be well bold, then you bring a lot of data for your organization, and then you realize, nope. Let's move back a little bit here, find the right balance. So dynamics is a good one. Same with scalability. Now we have regulation coming in Europe. Most likely more countries will follow. Switzerland, UK, Norway, US, etc. So the clients I meet and help, most of them want to start with Europe, but then want to scale. So once again, if you're looking for technology, scalability is very important. And my favorite is the last one. So one thing that a lot of clients are asking, a lot of companies are looking for is that when they go for technology and then want to go for a self-service solution, so the manager should handle those conversations, maybe not all employees are relevant for the managers to handle. Because there will be risk employees or red flag employees that are outliners in one way or another. Maybe they have a very high salary or very low, or there's lots of different ways here. So find a technology that can derive those employees to HR, where HR can handle those conversations or rewards, but for the bulk would be for the managers. And to give you some inspiration on how it could look like, on the slide here, small text, I don't know if you see what we're looking at, but on the right side, we have an employee like dashboard, which is auto-generated for John, and then you have on the left side for the manager. So this is just to give you a teaser on how it could look like. And if you want to see some live demo, you can join the booth and I can show you. But let's start from the manager perspective. So once again, small text, but in our world, when managers enters the login, they will see their team, of course. They will see the population, the pay gaps, the quartiles, the job descriptions, the grades within the group, like all different components that will be valuable for me as a manager to get access to. Because if I get questions, I have a source of truth. Come back to what we said earlier, so I can address all those different questions. So one portal for the manager, and then you have another view for the employee. And like last year, I met a lot of companies saying, we want to have this self-service for all the employees, so all the employees can, whenever they want, log in and see the data. Then there's been a big shift, I believe, and most companies saying, that is too much risk. We don't know how that will play out, so if we just bring the data to everybody, what will happen? So currently, I believe 99% of all the companies say we're going to start with the managers, get access to the data, and if they get questions from the employees, the manager can present to John how his data looks like. And that could be, his grade, his job family, his pay range, job description. Of course, Article 7, pay differences between female and males for the different categories. And, and once again, maybe that could be the summary here. This might be the starting point, but once again, I think the way we're going to do this in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years is going to be way different. And I guess it's a bet how many questions we will get from the organization. And I think it's a bet, I guess, as well. But the spring coming up or the next upcoming months, it's going to be on the morning shows, the radios, everywhere. So there will be a lot of questions.
Yeah, the clients we're talking to, they are betting on everybody is going to ask. So at least prepare for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at the time. It's we still have 10 minutes, but then we maybe can do some Q&A. But the sense of this session was to just give you a brief on how we look at this. If to summarize it, we think HR HR has limited resources. So one way or another, there's going to be a lot of questions, and our bet, same as Konstantina said, managers are very important. So training, have technology, and still plenty of time to connect all those things. So setting up a platform like this doesn't have to take, forever. So yeah. I think we're gonna finish off. Maybe give some back time to Jon. But if you want to meet us later, please come to the booth or join the workshop later today, and we can drill down some more details on this topic. Thank you very much.